Hey there, Todd Martin here with the Walking Code. In today's video, I want to revisit my discussion of masculine versus feminine walking styles, and I want to pay particular attention to how this manifests itself on the catwalk, where models are walking and really accentuating that masculine or feminine style. As I do that, I want to apply the mechanics of the walking code, and we can see how the mechanics are used to create either the masculine or the feminine walk. I'm not going to pay too much attention to the masculine walking style because it's essentially what I describe in all of my videos on correct walking technique, but the feminine style that is done on the catwalk uses different rules or different mechanics of the core than the typical walking code mechanics. The critical point behind this is that the rules of the walking code allow you to move with a perfectly aligned vertical spine. When we don't use the rules of the walking code, what happens is we end up with misalignments of the spine, and that's really what we're seeing with the feminine walking style, with the hips popping out side to side, where the spine is moving during the walking and not staying in a vertical aligned fashion. So let me get into the particulars of the technique for the feminine catwalk style. The purpose of the feminine walking style is to accentuate the motion of the hips as women are moving, because that visual distinguishes them from men who don't have wide hips and also don't move their hips significantly when they're walking. Now, both men and women, if you're doing something like Latin dancing, might accentuate the hips because it has a more sensuous motion to it. But women, when they are walking, particularly when they're dressed up to go out at night, they have heels on, they're going to adopt that same hip action you might see dancers do, but they're doing it in their normal walk. There are three distinctive characteristics that we're going to see in the feminine walking style on the catwalk. One is going to be the hip action. I already mentioned that, and that one's kind of obvious. You're going to see the hips moving out towards the side of the swing leg. But that's not the only differentiator between the feminine walking style and the masculine walking style. You're also going to see the arm swing. The arm swing for men, or the neutral walk, is going to be forward and back. But in the feminine walking style, the arms are not only going to not swing significantly forward, but they may even be swinging behind the body, in a manner that back in the 80s we used to call the George Jefferson walk. The third thing we're going to see is the crossover of the feet in the feminine walking style. In the masculine walking style, the feet are going to be roughly side by side during the movement. But in that feminine walking style, you're going to see the feet crossed in line or even crossed over with each step. So these are the three big things we're going to see with the feminine walking style that are going to distinguish it from the masculine walking style. The hip action, the arm swing, and the foot crossover. Now let's look at the mechanics of the feminine walking style and how they differ from the neutral or masculine walking style. In the upper part of the core, there's not going to be that much difference. We're going to be rotating side to side with each step, just like we do in a neutral or masculine walk. In the lower part of the core, or our lower abdominal muscles, here's going to be the most distinctive part of the movement. Instead of keeping the lumbar spine rooted to the rear leg during the step as we do in a normal walk, by contracting the lower abs on that side, meaning I have my lower abs contracted on the left, after I place, I root to the right by contracting my lower abs on the right. And after I place my left, I contract the lower abs to the other side. And the lower abs essentially pull the body forward, rooting the new standing leg. As I walk, I root the left, the right, left, right. And the rooting happens after the placement of the heel. That's when we rotate the lower abs from one side to the other. And the feminine walking style, we're going to change that route during the swing through before the heel places. And this is what is primarily going to pop the hip out to the side, because the lower ab motion controls the rotation of the pelvis. And so as I'm doing the swing through portion of the step, I'm going to turn my lower abs out to the right, and that is what is going to be popping my pelvis or my hip out with that lower ab rotation. That is not it by itself. We then have to use the hips in a different way. Instead of using one hip at a time, we're going to be using both hips at the same time during that swing through, extending both hips. So if I'm swinging through with my right leg, I'm going to extend my left hip and extend my right hip and contract my lower abs on my right as I take the step. This is what's creating that feminine walk look. Both hips extending and the lower abs turning towards the side of the swing leg as the step is taken. The fact that we're extending the swing leg hip creates that stomping effect that you'll see often with models. When we are walking normally, we are not engaging the hip on the side of the swing leg. We're placing it using the abdominal muscles. So there's no stomping action or reaching down. But when we use both hips in extension during the swing through, you're getting that stomping effect. If I do it without the hips, you can see it. You get that stomping effect because we're reaching down to the ground by extending the forward hip. When I add the lower ab action to that same stomping action, then you're going to get that movement. That movement, or the combination of that lower ab action and the hip action, is going to cause the crossover of the feet. Now you notice my feet are moving about in line with this action here. So combining all three separate movements of the core and the way that I just described them is going to create that effect of the feminine walking style you see on the catwalk. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to click the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're not already a subscriber, and click on the bell to get notifications for my future videos. Have a great day.